Yuki Tsukumo, perhaps the most loud, proud, and overwhelming woman sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen. She's a legend in her own right, a cool, kick-ass character that was taken away from us far too early in her prime. Today, my brothers, we will be scaling and debunking the insane power of this special grade sorcerer, and just how high she reaches in the intense power struggle in Jujutsu Kaisen. As a special grade, Yuki is beyond broken. However, she may actually get a lot of bad rep because of her loss against Kenjaku. So fans might look at her a certain way and conclude maybe Yuki is the weakest of the special grades, or she's overrated, or etc. But nah. Yuki is without a doubt top 5. And today I'm going to reaffirm and prove why Yuki is top 5. So let's dive right into Yuki Tsukumo's strength as a sorcerer. As one of the 4 special grade sorcerers, Yuki is at a level where she is at the pinnacle of strength in the modern era of Jujutsu. Unlike special grade curses, human special grades have such a rank because they have the power to single-handedly overthrow a country or nation. This means that their power trumps conventional military might, examples being artillery, firearms, bombs, etc. They would seize control off of sheer power. Yuta is an example where his cursed energy is boundless, and with Rika, he can take on an army. Kenjaku and Geto's curse technique can create armies to conquer over a country, and Yuki and Gojo are an example where they can do the same, but also could wipe out entire nations of people if they were to choose. Yuki is one of the eldest designated special grades in the society, and possibly was the first before Geto, Gojo, and Yuta, but it's unconfirmed when Yuki was given that title. As a special grade, you can imagine skills like reverse curse technique, domain expansion, high output, high attack power. That is the meta. Other than Geto Suguru, all the current special grades show high level Jujutsu skills that put them on a tier of their own, and Yuki is no exception. Right off the bat, in her debut in chapter 205 against Kenjaku, she displayed such high attack power that it literally did not make sense. Yuki's curse technique, Wrath of the Star or Bumbaya, is one of the most cracked powers in Jujutsu Kaisen in terms of pure attack power. Her very first attack in the series that we've seen destroyed a special grade cursed spirit Ganesha, which had the power to entangle with a concept with its technique's target, meaning it would nullify or remove anything it's faced with. Yet the very first thing Yuki did was one-shot the curse like nothing and kicked her Shikigami Garuda at it no less. Then proceeded to blitz Kenjaku, break past his guard, and hit him so hard his arms broke off and he was launched out of the Sunyata barrier itself. Yuki's curse technique is imbuing virtual mass into herself and her curse Garuda. Such overwhelming mass to a point where its concept can't be contained semantically or pragmatically. Some fans might say, oh, Yuki just punches hard. And it's not just hard, it's literally beyond definition at full power. The hit can't even be defined. It's interesting because Yuki or Garuda at full power cannot be guarded against, or at least it would be extremely hard to defend yourself. She actually punches Kenjaku so hard that it broke the concept of the Sunyata's circular definition. She completely ignores concepts, so things like Kenjaku's cursed spirits can't even be used on her. That's important to remember because she is facing Kenjaku himself. This is one of the most stacked and experienced sorcerers in the series, and even Kenjaku questioned if he can take on Yuki as she is now. Even he knew their curse techniques were not compatible for fighting each other, and whatever he throws at her, she's just going to completely ignore it and go right for him, which is pretty devastating given her attack power. Yuki is also a physical beast. She is very fast-paced, a very high contact fighter with monstrous strength. I mean, she's Todo's teacher, Aoi Todo, one of the most proficient hand-to-hand sorcerers at Jujutsu High. We've seen how refined Todo is as a fighter, and Yuki is just that much more of a beast. A trade-off to Yuki's curse technique though is that her mass doesn't have any real effect on herself, so things like her speed isn't affected. However, her physical tensile strength and her durability isn't affected either. So raw power-based abilities like Cursed Energy Blast can still damage Yuki. Once Yuki does take this said damage, the overall effect or output of Star Rage suffers from that, so she will not hit as hard. If If you notice, there is an instance where Yuki should have killed Kenjaku with a blow to the head, but her own injuries suffered from that and weakened her technique. It's also the case after she healed with Reverse Curse. Her damage wasn't quite the same as it was before at full power. That's not to say Yuki's punches are any less deadly. At full power, it will certainly one-shot or send a limb flying on an opponent, and in a lower output, it will still cause heavy damage that would require Reverse Curse technique. And considering the damage she did take on her own, Yuki not only survived, but endured Kenjaku's open domain expansion and took on whatever sure hit was caused by that domain. And then she still got back up and fought Kenjaku. Yuki does not go down easy. Her fight against Kenjaku was a bit unfortunate because Yuki actually had a lot more fight and trouble to give Kenjaku if she did things her way and entered a domain clash with Kenjaku. Now honestly, Kenjaku is simply just better. He's a better sorcerer, a better fighter, a better domain user. He would eclipse her skill level by a large margin, and it's pretty evident that Kenjaku finds this battle more trivial and tedious than it is challenging. But Kenjaku does find Yuki to be a problem. She's not someone easy to take down, and that says a lot. Even Kenjaku calls out Yuki because he understands if she deployed her own domain expansion, things would have been different and a lot more interesting. But outside of a domain expansion, Yuki was still an elite level sorcerer. Her use of Garuda was a serious threat. Waving around that Shikigami and slamming about something with immeasurable mass had incredible impact, and it's another reason why Kenjaku couldn't just use his curses haphazardly. They just be obliterated by Garuda. And even when Kenjaku had his gravity curse technique active, Yuki adjusted to the activation interval and made sure she could avoid the gravity in time. But while she did get close and damage Kenjaku and succeeded in that during that interval, she was ultimately defeated by a hidden mini Uzumaki attack in the next interval of gravity. Yuki lost because she was baited by Kenjaku's ploy and misled into thinking Kenjaku was out of options, so she took a gamble and she lost. With Yuki's most powerful attack, she was able to increase her mass and density so much that it created a black hole as a final sacrificial move. Yuki's black hole is a near unescapable phenomenon because it would continue to absorb everything if Yuki so wished for it. Even light can't escape a black hole. This potentially is by far one of the most cataclysmic attacks in Jujutsu Kaisen. The actual black hole was suppressed by Tengen's barrier and Yuki's will as to not drag the whole world into it. It's easily something that could destroy a planet, but it was suppressed by Yuki's will, and Kenjaku actually used a countermeasure of anti-gravity and enabling that technique into his body's domain and then applying technique lapse. So Kenjaku was actually able to counter it and, crazy enough, survive a real black hole using Jujutsu. Now honestly, the black hole move is not really why top 5. For me personally, she can't be ranked anywhere lower because her own special grade abilities and skills clear most other elite sorcerers. Her curse technique ignores concepts, and it gives her an ability to bypass most defenses like cursed energy reinforcement. Yuki's mass would send opponents flying. It sent Kenjaku flying. Yuki was confident and was capable enough to go blow for blow with Kenjaku. She actually manages to run in and go hand to hand with Kenjaku. She forced him on her terms because Kenjaku can't stop Yuki from rushing in. His curses won't work on her, and she's far too dangerous to be consistently throwing hands with. That's why Kenjaku questioned whether he could hunt this beast just by himself. And Yuki is on the same level as Yuta Okotsu. They are the same caliber of sorcerer, being special grades. I feel Yuta has his strengths. He may actually be stronger, the most obvious thing of course being that second to Gojo statement from Viz, but based on what we've seen already, his own abilities and with Rika, he probably has a bit more of an edge over Yuki, but I'd say Yuta and Yuki are more relative than anything else. She also has her specific strengths. We've seen her attack power, we saw who she was up against, we know she's got high destructive power, reverse curse techniques, domain expansions, the Garuda Shikigami. Just because she lost to Kenjaku doesn't take away from her strength. Very few could even do half as well as Yuki did, and Kenjaku did respect Yuki for her power. Currently in my definitive top 5 as of chapter 217, I'd have Gojo, Sukuna, Kenjaku, Yuta, then Yuki. Now, we do see sorcerers like Angel and Hirozu showing or about to show such amazing feats that could easily change in the future, but there definitely needs to be more context or more to see from them. But for now, Yuki can comfortably hang with top tiers like her fellow special grade sorcerer, Yuta. But that's it for this discussion. In the future, I'll definitely talk about Yuki a lot more, maybe in a top 10 strongest video, or even a video on Maki and Toji, because they are a very particular case when it comes to scaling them. And let me know what you guys think about that as well in like a versus matchup. But I hope you brothers enjoyed. Please comment below your thoughts on Yuki and everything else, and I'll see you brothers in the next one.